Welcome to another episode of Fandom X Archive. I am your host, Dinara Tangri, aka Alien Super Soldier. Before we start this month's episode, I would like to ask you to, if you listen to this podcast on any of the streaming platforms, to like and rate the podcast so that the algorithm will have an easier time knowing what this podcast is about and recommending it to more people. Thank you. In the last episode of Fandom X Archive, we relived the whirlwind that was FileFest. So I knew that for this episode, I wanted us to keep exploring the topic of the X-Files conventions. Keeping with the theme of this podcast, I wanted us to take a look at some of the earliest X-Files conventions and fan events. Back when the X-Files was at the peak of its popularity, or even back when it was this obscure sci-fi show with a growing cult following. According to spookyverse.de, a German page, the first official X-Files conventions, complete with guest stars, were held in Seattle in 1995 and in 1996 in Burbank and Seattle. But according to the fans and to Chris Carter himself, those early conventions were not doing the X-Files any justice. Says Carter, "I was unhappy with how they were done. We worked so hard to make the show as good as it can be, so any expression of the spirit of the show, which is what these conventions are all about, needs to follow that attention to detail. The problem is these things can turn into just an opportunity to sell stuff. Philosophically, I'm against that." End quote. Introducing the X-Files Expo. It was a convention roadshow organized by Creation Entertainment, which received license from the 20th Century Fox, and it toured 10 major cities in the United States. Fox reportedly spent $6 million dues on Expo. Here's how Tampa Bay Times announced X-Files Expo on January 11, 1998. X-Files alert, the truth is out there. The X-Files is taking its show on the road, although it's a mystery whether Scully or Mulder will come along for the ride. Makers of the popular television show announced Saturday that they are launching the X-Files Expo, a traveling theme park show, memorabilia that will travel across the country this spring like a rock concert tour. J.A. Hitchcock writes in her X-Files Expo review for Compute Me, and I quote, "Instead of the usual setting in a convention center or hotel ballroom, the expos took place in decommissioned military bases and airplane hangars. Fans became totally immersed in the X-Files experience in more ways than one, in an environment suitable for families. On the day that I attended the Washington, D.C. Expo in May of 1998, I saw babies in carriages, older kids, teens, parents, and grandparents together in groups. Many of them called the Expo an indoor theme park, and some purchased tickets for both days of the Expos to take it all in." Hitchcock goes on to write that planning the Expos on former military installations was a stroke of genius. Expo goers had to pass through gates with security guards stationed at the entrance. The buildings were surrounded by fences and barbed wire. Interiors were left intact with original signs such as radiation area or testing lab, and windows covered with metal grates. As you entered the building, you were given an evidence bag filled with Expo goodies. Before entering the main exhibit areas, you passed by rows and rows of filing cabinets and the sound of the X-Files theme music in the air. All this added up to the mystique that is the X-Files. End quote. My friend Carly Blake of the X-Files Fan Retrospective, you know, that awesome X-Files documentary that yours truly was part of, attended the Expo in 1998 in New York City when she was only 15 years old. Here is her story. In 1998, the X-Files was in the height of its popularity. People were screaming at every person that was even mentioned. There was a rumor that David might show, as he had been on SNL or another late show the day prior. It was a few thousand people who just loved it. You didn't pay for a ticket for a photo op. Gillian Anderson was there and everyone was given a ticket. Only some of them were good for it, like a lottery. None of ours were any good. My dad found one on the floor and it was good. So Gillian signed my English project about the show. End quote. When I asked Carly about how Expo differed from File Fest, she said, "This recent one was intimate. These are many folks who have met over the years and have become friends with the cast and crew. It's an amazing transition. In 1998, they were unattainable, and now it's more like family." My friend, who goes by the name Noel It All on Twitter, attended Expo on May 17, 1998 at the White Oak Naval Station in Silver Spring, Maryland, when she was in her early 30s. She says, "I picked Sunday because a fan-run club had rented a nearby firehouse conference room to watch the end later that evening. The expo wasn't hosted in someone's living room. Fan-run events are much smaller affairs with handmade items for trivia prizes, pizza, popcorn, soda, and then rewatching episodes on VHS tapes. The expo was corporate run. Fox made it a Comic-Con event before I knew what a Comic-Con was. I found out about Expo via official fan club email notice." End quote. When I asked her what was her most vivid memory, she said, "Me sitting in a green screen of Mulder's office, complete with I Want to Believe poster on the wall and pencils on the ceiling. I still have those green screen pictures. I had no idea there were so many fans of the show in the DC area. The place was packed full of people, falling in love with Oldsmobile Intrigue so much that I saved my coins to buy one. I still love that car. Winning an auction of Ascension script that was signed by David, Gillian, and Chris, then going backstage to meet Nick Lee, Stephen Williams, and Rob Bowman, and having them sign it. I still have the CDs that were handed out to everyone. Really loving the creepiness of the naval station. Excellent location choice. It's long gone now. Then leaving the expo to watch the end with other files and getting so emotional watching Mulder's office burn and having no idea what would happen next season. If there was a next season. AOL forums were my go-to in those years, and I met with a small group of people from AOL at Expo. Some of them went to the end screening with me." End quote. And my friend that goes by Sooner Snail on Instagram retells their experience at the Expo. "My mom and I attended the X-Files Expo at Love Field in Dallas. I was 11 years old, so I'd never attended any other events like that before. I'm from a small town in southeast Oklahoma, so we would get Texas news stations, so one of them was having a ticket contest for the expo. I told my grandma about it, and she actually called and won the tickets for me. However, no one told me she had won tickets, because my mom wasn't sure she'd be able to take time off work and travel to Dallas with me. Fortunately, it all worked out, and my mom and I were able to go. It was held in one of the hangars at the airport with lots of props from the show, several panels from cast and writers, promotional stuff from the movie that was about to be released. You could take a picture in the office, which was the highlight of my life so far. We got to meet several people, including Mitch Pileggi and Kim Manners, who were all so kind and sweet to my little nerdy self. I still have my shirt and programs and autographs in storage somewhere. So about 20 years later, I went to Spooky Empire in Orlando with the whole X-Files crew, and it was such a blast. I was even able to reminisce with Mitch Pileggi about our previous con meeting. I work in law enforcement now, and was just able to say to everyone, thanks for raising me. My friend told me that she has a degree in criminology and sociology, and that she works for the State Bureau of Investigation, where she audits police reports and trains officers to write better reports and to be in compliance with FBI requirements. This is not just the Scully effect. This is the X-Files effect. And my Instagram friend that goes by UFO Enthusiast was only 12 years old when they went to Expo with their mom. They reminisce, and I quote again, "My mom's boyfriend at the time surprised me with tickets. The event was at an airplane hangar. I don't remember the environment much. I remember it was a large area, and I was amazed that everyone was just as into the X-Files as I was. I remember they showed bloopers and I got to meet Stephen Williams. I remember he spoke on a panel about his role. They showed the episode where he died. Anyways, I remember him being super nice and amazed that I was 12 and a fan. The line for Nick Lee was too long and my mom didn't want to wait. I did not hang out in X Files chat rooms in the 90s, which maybe is best since I was 12, but I was part of the online community later on, a message board called Your Tax Dollars at Work. I did have many friends online. I was able to meet a few. Many years later, I attended a fundraiser to raise money for SAYS in Beverly Hills. The environment for that event was much more intimate. I sat in front of Chris Carter, who then later joined the panel. I got to shake hands with David, Jillian, and Chris. So these are the stories that my friends and fellow X-Files fans have shared with me on social media when I reached out to them and asked them if they had attended any X-Files events back in the 90s. My original idea for this episode sort of got away from me. I was going to do some detective work and find out more about fan-run events such as Manchester 1996 and the X-Files/Babylon 5 conventions that were popular in Germany for a while. But most of the people that responded to my requests on social media had stories from the expo. So the first part of this episode ended up being more of an expo retrospective than anything I had planned initially. And now for something slightly different. From a 10-city corporate-run roadshow to a small private fan gathering. And to tell this story, I am very happy and honored to welcome our first guest on the show, my friend Alyse Wax. Alyse is a writer and expert X-Files fan. She was also one of the 3 panel moderators on FileFest. She did a great job, by the way. We recorded this interview separately, so don't get shocked if the audio sounds different. Also, I realize now that I did not use the right microphone for this interview, so do not get surprised if the sounds is just a little off. So without further ado, here's my interview with Alyse Wax. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Fandom X Archive. I am Dinara Tangri, and I am here with Alyse Wax, author, producer, X-Files fan. Now, Alyse, why don't you introduce yourself to our guest, and then we can go on with the interview.
Okay, I'm Alyse Wax. I am a writer and author, like you said. An X-Files fan since 1993, since the first episode. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's a great start. You said X-Files fan since the first episode. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind going back in time and telling us how and why and under what circumstances you discovered the X-Files.
Sure. It was a Friday night and 9 o'clock, and I was about to make some popcorn and try to find something to watch on TV. And I was in the kitchen about to make my popcorn, and I was flipping channels, and I remembered seeing an advert for the X-Files, and I came across it on the TV, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing something about this. This is supposed to be kind of scary, and I like scary.
Yeah.
So I stopped and I put it on and I started watching, and before the first commercial aired, I was hooked. I hadn't even made my popcorn. I was standing there watching the TV the whole time and just totally enthralled with it.
That's very relatable.
Yeah.
And so that was pilot, right? The very first episode.
The pilot, yeah.
Yeah. I just think it just shows how great that pilot was.
when people talk about, oh, what's the best pilot like in TV
Hmm.
history, and like the majority of people will say, oh, they will say like mention Breaking Bad and a bunch of other shows, but the X-Files will always be there. It's such a strong first episode.
And it was a true pilot, it was shot ahead of time and the they had to air it or they had to screen it and everything. And it's just different from the way quote unquote pilots work nowadays.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true because I mean, I don't really know how the TV world works, but the way I understand it before, you would have to shoot a pilot. So you would have to have all this production and then show it to the network, and then
Hmm.
maybe it would get picked up.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas something like, Breaking Bad, I feel fairly certain that they were already picked up for, a first season.
Yeah.
They didn't need to prove anything to the network.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's very different than, back then it was very, very different, but also I can just imagine all the effort and the love and the time you put in a project and then it doesn't get picked up. So
Hmm.
I think we're all very happy that the X-Files did get picked up.
Yeah.
Yes. So you mentioned that you were a horror fan.
Hmm.
Was that the aspect that attracted you the most about the X-Files, or was there something else?
Yeah, it was about scary stuff. So, aliens and the like. When I saw like the adverts and stuff, I mostly saw it was about aliens, and I was like, aliens are scary. I like that. So let's check it out.
So I imagine that you were not disappointed by the scare factor of the show when you started watching.
Um, I don't remember being scared by it, but nothing really scares me. And I know that sounds like stupid, but I really am not scared. Um, so, but I just remember being so in love with the show, the writing and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I can also relate to that because, like you, I'm not easily scared. Uh,
Hmm.
there are certain things that I would rather not watch, but it's not because I'm scared. But I do love the atmosphere of the X-Files, of the show
Yeah.
itself. Yes, I mean, it's spooky, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it was something that I had never seen before, um the actors were you know um David and Jillian were just mind blowing and the scary, and all I knew was that it was my new favorite show and I was obsessed with it.
Now, when you say obsessed, does that mean that you were also hanging around in the chat rooms and forums and sharing your obsession or your love for the show with other fans?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was on I don't remember exactly how I got started, but I remember going on to the AOL back then. It was AOL, and you had to log in through your phone and everything. And I just remember I was talking about it constantly with people, and there were a few, I had a few friends, and we kind of created like this little X Files group and all of that stuff. It was great.
So this X-Files group that you mentioned, was it also between your online friends, or was it like in real life?
Just online friends. In real life, my friends were not interested in watching the X Files, so I was 13 at the time, so you know.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the age of the internet, right? You find
Yep.
kinship and you find a family among strangers that you've never met.
Yep. Exactly.
Exactly. So, during so when you were hanging around on AOL, you had to dial up. Uh,
Mhm.
oh my God, this does bring me back. By the way, the dial up. You can't use the phone while you're surfing the net, so
Yeah.
it's always this push and pull and compromise between family members. That I get to surf for like half an hour because then mom has to use the phone. Uh, it's
Yep.
yeah, but so just if you can remember, what what were the most discussed topics among your ex-spouse friends online back then?
I honestly don't remember. Um, no, I don't remember what exactly we talked about, but I know I was on there like every day talking with people on message boards and Usenet groups and all of that stuff.
You mentioned Usenet groups. So were you on that alt.tv.xfiles group?
Yes.
Yes, you were. Oh God, that's so awesome. The first episode I made was about that group. Just kind of mind blowing talking to someone who spent time in that chat group.
Oh, wow. I don't remember any of it. Um, I did a search once, like to try to find some of my old posts and stuff, and I found a few from the fanfic group. Um, but yeah, I didn't spend as much time on there as I did on the AOL chat boards because it was just easier for me.
I see. Okay, now that you said fanfic, did you write fan fiction?
Yes, it did.
You did.
I
Can
will
you tell
tell
us
you,
more about it?
well, X-Files was what made me want to be a writer. Like as soon as I started watching the show, I started working on a script, an episode, my own episode of the X-Files.
Oh wow.
And I actually sent it in to the network when it was done about a year later. And I kept sending it and sending it. And finally, their legal department had to call me and ask me not to send it anymore
Oh my God.
because they kept, it was, they would have trouble with it if it was, you know, they
If
didn't want,
they would end up choosing it and filming it, you mean?
they didn't want to be in any legal trouble. So,
I
and I
mean,
kept saying, I'm like, I'm just a kid. I'll sign whatever. I just want them to look at it.
oh my God. I mean, it's always the legal team that, kind of spoil sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you remember what the script was about?
It was about earthquakes.
Oh, like paranormal earthquakes?
Yeah. I don't want to say too much.
Okay, okay. I won't cry. I won't cry, but it does sound very intriguing.
Yeah.
It does. So I can imagine if you wrote fan fiction that you also read.
Yes, I did. And I don't remember any of the stuff that I read, but I have like in one of my notebooks a while ago, like I found a list of fanfics that I had read or were on my list to be read. Um and stuff like that. So it was right at the beginning when fanfic was not super great. And I was like, I could write this. And so I started writing.
And now you're a writer. You do it for a
Yeah.
living. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you can do this. But so now this is kind of a sensitive topic, but what kind of fanfic did you prefer? Rom MSR shippy or more of a case files, uh, like straight up
Case
case?
case files, definitely. I guess you could call me a no Romo for those first few years. And I mean, obviously now I'm like hardcore MSR, but for the beginning, I was very much a no Romo. I did not want to see them together because, I was like, I'm 13. I don't want to see all the romancy, smushy stuff. And
Yeah, just give me the
I,
scare.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I I I'm going to do a fanfic read for Halloween,
Oh,
and
cool.
through very, very old fanfic. So I'm basically searching through 90s fanfic. And so I'm zeroing in on case files. And I have to say, it's
Oh,
very difficult with a lot of the archives now being shut down and, not active anymore because they're very old, host providers or it's it's very difficult to find a working fanfic archive. And it's way more difficult to find a working fanfic archive just for case files and not MSR fanfic.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's very true. I can see that.
yeah. But okay, so you wrote, but okay, let's talk more about your writing then, because you are an author, you're a writer, you used to
Mhm.
produce for television. So
Yeah.
why don't you just walk us through your career?
Um, well, I wanted to be a TV writer, and so I started off working in television, and I began producing, but it ended up being reality TV, and I kind of got sucked into that pipeline, and I had um I guess a midlife crisis or something. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I stopped. And after some time sitting around at home trying to figure out what I'm going to do with myself, I started a website called Spork Fashion and started doing writing about fashion, indie fashion, and it got semi-popular. And then I started writing for some other site, and they sent me on a set visit. And the set visit was for like a werewolf show. And I met a writer there from fearnet.com.
Mhm.
And he they were located in Philadelphia. And anyways, long story, slightly shorter. Um, he he took my card and called me a few months later and started to or asked me to cover some stuff for them. And I soon became basically like a full-time freelancer for them. And then he left and I took over his job. And um yeah, and then that's how I kind of became a writer and entertainment journalist.
So you originally wanted to be a TV writer, and then
Hmm.
you took sort of a detour, and ended up being a writer anyway. Is just
Hmm.
not necessarily for TV, but you were writing about TV and about entertainment.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
But how does it differ? I mean, obviously the form is very different, TV and entertainment, just like a journalism. But in terms of the constraints and the, I don't know, artistic expression, how do the two differ from each other?
Um, well, the journalism is very fact-based, and it's reporting on things that you've seen, whereas um, writing for a TV show would be far more creative. But it turns out that I like having, you know, being able to, I guess, you know, I don't know, but I enjoy it.
You enjoy journalism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that it can feel quite safe to have facts to 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 have back you up in your writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to that too. Uh, let's see. So, well, thank you for telling us about your journey uh, as a writer.
Sure.
And let's, like they say in those meetings, like let's circle back. Let's circle back to the X-Files fandom,
Yep.
because the reason I am interviewing Alyse today is because this episode I'm doing about uh, X-Files convention of the days past, basically all the 90s conventions. So I've been asking around other fans and my friends on the internet, on Twitter and on Instagram about their experiences those events. And so Alyse kindly volunteered to tell her story. So why don't you tell us about that X-Files event that you attended?
Okay, it would have been in 1994, so I would have been 14, and it was before there was any sort of official X-Files fan, event. So this was just something put on by some people that I ran into on the internet, and it was going to be in Vegas, and I live in Los Angeles, and so I begged my parents, and somehow I don't know how or whatever, but they said, okay, we'll go. I guess because it wasn't too far, and I don't know. So we drove out there, and it was it was really just a gathering of friends and fans, um because they didn't, it wasn't official or anything, and so there weren't any panels or guest speakers or anything like that. It was mostly just a chance to get away and visit, meet these people that you hang out with online all the time.
So how big was this event? Can you remember how many people attended roughly?
Um, I don't know. There had to have been at least 100 people, maybe more.
That's a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
for because the X-Files was pretty much a very obscure show those first
yep,
couple of years, and already was getting this cult following. Uh,
yep.
yeah. So was it like a weekend long event, or was it just for one day?
It was a weekend event, if I remember correctly.
And did you meet?
Um,
No, you know what? I'm just gonna let you tell the story. I'm not gonna interrupt.
oh gosh, I don't remember very much from it. I have one um, very prominent memory, and that is I went to a party. It was just in somebody's hotel room, and they gave me a soda or something. They gave me some punch and they're like, here, put some of this in it. And I had no idea what it was. And of course, I'm so stupid, right? I'm just like, well, I'm underage, I can't drink. And they're like, no, no, don't worry, it's not alcohol or anything like that. These aren't drugs. And so I put the candy in, they told me to. It turned out it was Pop Rocks and it exploded all over me. And I was picking Pop Rocks out of my hair for days afterwards.
Oh my God, that is almost worse than
Yeah,
liking.
it was it was funny, but it was,
Oh my,
it was traumatic. So
oh my,
that's really the only main memory I have of the event, which, it's kind of sad because I wish that I remembered more about it. But, I remember meeting a couple of friends and, talking, but I don't remember what we talked about or anything like that.
probably talked about the show.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can assume that.
yeah. What? So 1994. So the X-Files must have been in its second season, if I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah. So I mean, I guess even if it was only the second season, there was still a lot to talk about because the mythology was getting pretty dense already.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of questions, I can imagine. Yeah, it's something that we take for granted now because when new shows come out and we get to binge the entire season in one sitting, and
Hmm.
there's just no mystery anymore.
Yeah.
Back then, you had to wait an entire week, and then you had to wait an entire summer until the next season, and that was
Yeah.
stressful.
It really was.
Yeah. So, but did you meet any of your online friends uh, in that, in that on that during that event?
Yeah, I did. And that was really fun. And um, I don't have any memories specifically of
Yeah.
like from that.
I mean, it was 1994. I don't remember what
Yeah.
I was doing in 1994.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you stayed in touch with anyone afterwards?
I haven't, and I really am upset about that. And if I could, I would try to look them up.
Yeah.
And I tried, I think, once trying to find somebody, um, but I couldn't, and I don't remember anyone's names. So full, complete first and last names. So I did find a fanfic by a couple of women who I was friends with, so that was fun.
Yeah. Oh my God. So let's see. So that was 1994. I Do you know that this alt.tv.x-files, the entire uh, news group basically is archived on Google Groups. And
Yeah.
yeah, and you can read. And so I stumbled upon this thread of old fans reconnecting. So somebody wrote, "Oh, hi, this is me. I'm back." And now it says the meeting will end in 10 minutes. Um, so, okay, then we have 10 minutes left, basically. So,
Okay.
do you mind if I will, if I will stop the recording and then I will invite you back?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we were interrupted by technology, we were
Hmm.
talking about reconnecting, maybe with trying to reconnect with other fans, and I was telling Alyse that I read a thread on all the TV that X-Files, where people were reconnecting, and it was very, very sweet, but also kind of bittersweet, because I can imagine that it can be kind of disappointing because so much time has passed. You probably don't have much in common with those people anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
is sad. I wish that, I mean, but there were some that, I felt really close to at the time. So I would like to reconnect with some of them, but maybe I'll have to go on there later
You know what?
and
Maybe.
see.
Maybe. I mean, like it wouldn't hurt to try, right?
Yeah.
So you said this event that you attended in Las Vegas, was it free or did you have to buy tickets?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I
But
think I don't know.
but I can imagine there were no guests like from
Yeah, so there wasn't anything to really buy tickets to.
right.
It was just like you want to get yourself out to Vegas and come hang out. So it was super unofficial, super random. But yeah.
Super random, and I can imagine very casual and very, very relaxed.
Yeah,
That's the vibe I'm getting from your story, is that it was just a bunch of X-Files fans that came together and hung out for a week.
exactly.
Yeah. So, and now we travel back to the present, File
Mhm.
Fest 2023. Before we started recording, Alyse was telling me about how she ended up being one of the interviewers uh, at FileFest. So why don't you share the story again with our listeners?
It really isn't very interesting. I basically emailed Kristen, who was organizing it, and we're Twitter friends. And I asked her, you know, if she needed moderators, and I told her that, as part of my work as an entertainment journalist, I do moderate a lot of panels and stuff like that. And I was remembering a couple of old panels that were really poorly done at other conventions that I'm not going to name any names, and said, I wanted to help and make sure they were good. And so she said, yeah, sure, that would be great.
Did you get to choose which panel you would moderate, or did they just assign you?
We discussed it because there were two other moderators at the panel or at the convention. And we kind of had like a discussion about it before, and um originally she had all three of us moderating the creatives panel, which consists of I think 7 or 8 people. Um, and both of the other girls were like, no, that's okay, let Alyse do it. And that was the one that I was really excited for. So I was totally happy to take it.
Well, I just have to say that I want to say that you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
You said that you wanted to do a good job because you remember some panels that were not moderated very well. Well, you really you did so well because it was such a relaxed atmosphere, and I loved the questions, and I just loved the rapport you had with the guests. And also, like, there were so
Thank
many
you.
people in that panel, and you just handled it like the kids say, like a boss. I don't know if the kids say it,
There were.
but
Thank you.
you did a great job. And the thing is, we have been following each other on Twitter for a while, but I just did not make the
Yeah.
connection that it was you up there. I watched I watched the creatives panel on YouTube because I was stuck on in photo ops live
Yeah.
photo ops. Yeah, so I only attended like two panels, and so I just caught up watching them all on YouTube, and I just did not make the connection that it was you up there. Like afterwards, when I was talking to you on Twitter, I was a little starstruck. So,
Aw, stop.
oh my God. So, but in terms of, uh, so how many did you attend any other X-Files conventions throughout the years?
Nope, that was the only one. That one, and I think I went to Spooky Empire in 2018, I want to say, because that was going to be allegedly the last time that David and Jillian were going to be doing a convention together, and I wanted to see both of them together. Um, and so I went to that one. That one was really fun, but chaos. And it wasn't, specifically X-Files, although they did have the entire cast there.
But I mean, you have to share the convention space and the atmosphere with other fandoms and
Yeah.
other people that are not there for the X Files. So yeah, I know the feeling. It doesn't feel as special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although I did get to meet a lot of my Twitter friends there, and we've been friends for years now. So
that's so
that's
awesome.
really great. Yeah.
That is great. It's a little surreal for me. It was surreal for me to meet all of the people that I'm friends with on Twitter and Instagram. It's like, oh my God, I can finally put a face to the profile.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel so bad because like there were a ton of people that I knew I wanted to meet, friends. And I am so bad at like putting faces to names to profile pictures and everything. And so I just, plus at File Fest, I was just in such a blur because I was moderating and I was so nervous and everything.
Girl, I feel you. It's just a blur, and like I'm so bad at faces, I'm so bad at names, and if I
Yeah,
have snubbed anyone at File Fest, I apologize. It's because it was a blur, basically.
me too.
But you did do a great job moderating, and
Thank you.
but I mean, you say that you don't remember much from the very first
Mhm.
uh, fan gathering that you attended, but in terms of just the atmosphere and the feeling, that feeling that you get in your heart, uh, how how did it differ from File Fest?
It was much more relaxed. It was because, it wasn't a convention in the sense that like there were activities to get to and stuff like that. It was just a whole bunch of X-Files that were hanging out and talking and chatting about the show and about their fanfics or whatever. I don't remember, but it's just it was much more relaxed.
I can imagine. Uh, File Fest was amazing, but at times it felt a little overwhelming because there was just so much
Yeah.
to do and so many people to meet and to shake hands with. So
Yeah. And looking back, I realized that like there were people I didn't get to meet that I would have loved to. So, and I was very, I have a weird thing where when I'm at conventions and stuff like that, I have this weird thing where I'm like, I want to go and like chat with all of these people, the celebrities and stuff, but I also want to remain professional and not be like a fangirl. And I have a really hard time balancing that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, all of the guests, all of the celebrities, and they don't even see themselves as celebrities. All of the
Yeah.
actors and the writers, the Firefest, they were so friendly and so, so warm, and it felt so. I felt safe fangirling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Towards the end, I finally started to a little bit. But yeah, it was a really fine line that I feel like I walked.
But you have met a lot of these people like before, like at that other convention that you mentioned in 2018, right?
Yeah, and I've interviewed Chris Carter at least a half a dozen times. So,
Wow, you must feel like, you're old friends by now.
practically. Not quite, but
He just struck me as such a gentle and calm soul. He's
yeah,
just
he
soft
is.
spoken and quiet, and he he sort of doesn't take himself too seriously.
Hmm.
Love to see that in a someone who created something like the X-Files.
Yeah,
Is that the impression that you're getting from him? Uh,
definitely. Yeah.
but in terms of fangirling, who were you most nervous around at FileFest?
Nervous? I don't know. I will tell you that I was most excited to meet Darren Morgan.
Yeah,
And we ended up just like chit-chatting before the panel, and it was great. Like him and Glenn and Kristen, we were just chatting about nonsense, you know?
yeah.
And so it was nice. It was like, oh, or like it's not fan speak, it's chit chat. So
Well, I mean, you're all writers, so like it's all like you're
yeah,
talking to your colleagues basically. So, I can
I
imagine
guess.
some you have a lot of things in common, even if like you weren't working on the same project.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
never thought of it like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one thing to approach someone like just as a fan, but then you have some common ground with these people because you're in the same sort of field, same craft. So I guess that's why also it was such a good choice, for you to moderate that panel because you're a writer and you're interviewing other writers. It just it makes sense.
But yeah.
So, do you have any like flashy memory from FileFest? The same caliber as someone giving you pop rocks in your punch.
No, but because it was more recent, I have a lot more in general memories. I remember on the first night I went and I met up with some friends and we had some food, and then we walked back to their hotel room and watched an episode. We watched this from season 11, and that was just so much. It's just so much fun watching it with people, who love it as much as you do and who've seen it, and you can all giggle at the same moments and
Yeah.
ooh and ah and that kind of thing.
Did you were you at the showing of Fight the Future?
Yes.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you react to the whole, to the purple of it all? Were you
uh I did not like it. It was it was Yeah, I would have rather just watched it on a smaller screen, but better quality. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, this was the first time that I got to watch the X Files on a big screen and with other X Files fans. So what you just said about this, it's such a great feeling to be watching it with other people,
Yeah.
giggling and reacting. I mean, just we were just voting and talking along with the movie, like what about my man, and all these
Yeah.
little moments. It was very special, even though like I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know how much time we have left actually, because apparently this only gives you half an hour.
40 minutes. It gives
Yeah,
you 40 minutes.
40 minutes gives you 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess all the other meetings I attended, the hosts were paying for a premium version because we had more than 40 minutes then. But that's good anyway. I mean, that's fine. So,
Yeah.
is there anything, like, I don't want to keep you too long, and
Mhm.
but is there anything else that you want to share about your experience as an X Files fan, or just something that you want to tell to our listeners, that like maybe you have a project that you want to promote, plug?
Um, I don't have any projects at the moment. Um, I am trying to get some stuff sold,
Mm-hmm.
some books. I would love to be working on an X-Files related book, but so far, no dice. Um, so yeah, I don't really have anything coming up. Everything kind of slowed down after File Fest, and then I got COVID from it, and then it was just a lot of stuff,
Well,
real
thank
life
you.
stuff
Yeah.
came down and crushed me.
Are you feeling better now?
Yeah, I'm doing better now.
Yeah.
Luckily,
Well,
the
that's good.
COVID
Oh my
didn't.
God. But X Files book, I absolutely support your wish and your ambition to write an X Files book. Uh, Bethan Jones, Dr. Bethan Jones, she just wrote
Yeah.
and published an X Files book. And in fact, I will be interviewing her also. Uh,
Oh,
so that's going to be a lot of fun. But yes, I don't know what angle you would want to approach it from. But if it's something that you can make happen, in terms of like copyright and whatever red tape that you need to cross, I absolutely support this idea, and I will be first one to pre-order once it's available
well,
for
thank
pre-order.
you.
Well, thank you so so much. This is my first interview on this podcast, and I am so,
Wow, well, you did a
yeah.
great job.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I tried not to show how nervous I was,
Oh,
but I mean, it does help. This Zoom aspect helps because it's more like a conversation anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, but I am so glad and happy and honored that you got to be my first guest on the
Aw,
podcast, and I
well,
hope that we this won't be the last time that you're appearing on Phantom X Archive. And
anytime.
thank you. And maybe next time you're here, we'll be discussing your X Files book.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Exactly. Well, I should not be keeping you for too long. I'm going to stop the recording and
Okay.
say thank you and wish you a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can follow Alyse on Twitter at Alyse Wax, on Instagram, Alyse Wax, and on her website, AlyseWax.com. Again, thank you so, so much for being on my show. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have for this episode. I mean, I could make the episode longer if I wanted to, But after the 1.5 hour epic journey that was last month's episode, it feels only right to leave you all wanting more. But before we say goodbye for now, I have a few announcements. Number one, I will be doing a spooky fanfic read on Halloween, October 31st. I still have to figure out the technical details and to choose the fanfic to read. So keep an eye out for updates on my socials. You can follow me on Twitter at Dinara which is my pen name, on Instagram at Fandom X Archive Podcast, and on Facebook, where I also go by my pen name. And number two, Fandom X Archive will be taking a little mid-season break. Next month, I will be doing NaNoWriMo, which is the National Novel Writing Month, which means that I will be working on my novel basically full-time. So I won't have the time to do a good job on this podcast. It seems only right to take a little break. I will also be going to London to see David in concert. So November is going to be a busy month. I wish you all a happy Halloween and a November that's not too cold. You can find all the sources I have used for this episode in the show notes. A huge thank you to all my X-Files compatriots who have shared their stories, and to Alyse for being a wonderful guest. And a huge thank you to Katrine for writing this amazing theme song for the podcast. I can't get enough of listening to it. So there you go. That's my send-off. Listen to the song. And I'll see you at the fanfic read. Bye!